Story 1. When I was young, around 10 or 11, I went to bed after playing around with my older brother. We had been messing with each other, playing little jokes on one another like brothers often do. I was laying in bed in my dark room with my eyes closed when I heard a bump at the foot of my bed. I quickly opened my eyes and lifted my head off my pillow, glancing down towards the noise. I saw a dark silhouette of a tall figure quickly freezing at the foot of my bed. It then fell, almost like a sheet being dropped, presumably to hide from my view. I assumed it was my brother trying to continue our goofing around by playing some trick on me while I was in bed. My brother was almost 6 feet tall when he was 13, so the size of the figure seemed fitting to me from my view laying in bed. I immediately started saying, "Ron, I know it's you. I saw you, Ron. You may as well come out." Several seconds passed with no response. I continued my plea. "Ron, seriously, come out. I saw you. Stop playing around." After several more seconds of silence, my certainty of it being my brother passed, and just like any dumb kid will do, I pulled the sheets over my head as if it were going to give me some protection from whatever this was. I continued lying there with the covers tightly over my head, breathing heavy and wondering what my escape plan would be. After a minute or so, I mustered up enough courage to throw the covers off and run through the door, which was right next to my bed. I jump over to my brother's room right across the hall, hoping to see an empty bed. I flick on the light and see my brother lying there. "Ron! Hey! Ron!" My brother slowly turns toward me and mumbles, "What?" I begin to interrogate him. "Why were you just in my room? You know I caught you." He looks at me with his eyes half shut and says, "What are you talking about? I didn't go in your room." Getting a little frustrated, I start to plead with him. "Ron, seriously, tell me the truth. Were you just in my room? Please, just tell me the truth." Again, he responds, "Dude, I've been sleeping, I promise. You must have had a bad dream. Turn off my light and go back to bed." I flick his light off and slowly back out of his room and just stand in the hallway for several minutes. I'm trying to reason with myself about what I had just experienced. Was I dreaming? Normally, when you have dreams like that, and they feel so real, you still wake up and think, "Oh, great, it was just a dream, everything's okay." But this was different. I pondered all of these things standing in the hallway as I tried to convince myself it was a dream, but my experience didn't support that theory. After about 20 minutes wandering through my living room alone, I finally went back to my room. I found nothing there but an empty bed. Looked underneath, nothing. I still to this day, 25 years later, can't explain that experience. Story 2. When I was young, we had an old record player. Not one of the newer day tabletops, but the ones that were a huge piece of furniture. It sat in our dining room for years and years, and not once did I ever know of it working. It always sat silently, not in working order. But being that as it was a housewarming gift to my mother from my father when we moved into our newly built home in the 1970s. It had some sentimental value to my mom, so she didn't want to get rid of it. I remember one night when I was about 7 years old. It was between 2 and 3 in the morning, according to my father. The record player, which I had never heard play anything, randomly started playing music. It was loud enough that it woke up our entire family. Confused, we all stumbled out of our rooms to see what the commotion was, only to see the broken down record player playing a song. In the confusion, my dad started looking at the record player, trying to figure out how in the world music was playing. The position on-off switch was off. There was no power. In order to get it to stop playing, my dad had to physically take the vinyl off of the turntable. Although the record player was in our home until I went away to college, that was the first and the last time I ever heard music come from it.